The Great Pyramid Scheme, how one man gaslit history. Forget the aliens. Put the telescope down. The Great Pyramid of Giza isn't a mystery. And honestly, it isn't even a tomb. It's a receipt. A receipt for the single greatest scam in human history. We always ask how they built it. The tools, the ramps, the math. But we never ask the only question that actually matters. Why did they agree to build it? How did one man convince an entire civilization to bankrupt itself, exhaust itself, and destroy its own body for 20 years, just to build him a shiny grave? He didn't use magic, he didn't use aliens, and he didn't use slaves. He used something far more powerful, the world's first multi-level marketing scheme. Welcome to the real pyramid scheme. Let's start with the CEO of this operation. King Khufu. In the modern world, we have narcissists, you know the type. The boss who thinks every idea he has is genius. The influencer who believes the universe revolves around their morning coffee. But Khufu makes modern narcissists look like humble monks. To understand the pyramid, you have to understand the ego that demanded it. In ancient Egypt, the pharaoh wasn't just a king. He wasn't just a leader. He was the bridge, the literal umbilical cord connecting the fragile, chaotic human world to the divine order of the gods. They called this order Ma'at, truth, balance, stability, and the alternative? Isfet, chaos, collapse, the Nile drying up, the sun refusing to rise, crops failing, children starving. Khufu didn't sell himself as a ruler. He sold himself as the only thing standing between you and the apocalypse. Imagine if your boss walked into the office tomorrow and said, "Hey, if you don't finish this report by Friday, the sun will explode and everyone you love will die in eternal darkness. Also, can you grab me a coffee?" You'd get that coffee. You'd get that coffee fast. This is rule one of dark psychology. Create a problem that only you can solve. Khufu positioned himself as the essential cog in the universe. If he is happy, the gods are happy. If he lives forever, Egypt lives forever. So building him an indestructible mountain of stone isn't slavery, it's cosmic insurance. Now here's where the history books usually lie. Hollywood loves the image of slaves, chains, whips, collapsing bodies in the sand. It makes for a great movie, but it makes for terrible management. You cannot build a masterpiece with slaves. Slaves do the bare minimum to avoid punishment. They don't care about precision. They don't care if the chambers align with the stars. They just want to survive the day. To build the Great Pyramid, Khufu needed something stronger than fear. He needed belief. And the archaeology backs this up. The worker villages at Giza tell a very different story. These people weren't starving. They were eating better than most ancient populations. Cattle, sheep, fish. They had medical care. They had housing. Khufu didn't run a prison camp. He ran a corporate campus. A very intense corporate campus, like Google, but with more sand and less air conditioning. Here's the trick. Khufu used a technique we now call reframing. He took the most brutal, soul-crushing labor imaginable, dragging 2.5-ton stones across burning sand, and reframed it as a divine privilege. Being chosen to work on the pyramid wasn't a punishment, it was an honor. Think about that. He got people to compete for the opportunity to destroy their own bodies. And this leads to the most genius part of the scheme. The gamification of labor. How do you keep 20,000 men motivated for 20 years? You turn suffering into a game. Inside the pyramid, archaeologists found graffiti on the stones. Not prayers, not holy texts. Team names, the friends of Khufu, the powerful ones, the drunkards of Menkore, crews, gangs, tribes. The workforce was divided into competing units. Picture the foreman shouting, "Listen up, drunkards of Menkore." The East team moved 40 stones yesterday. Are you going to let them beat you, or are you the king's favorites? Suddenly, it's not about the rock. It's about winning. It's about identity. It's the same trick used today in sales teams, sports culture, startup grind, and CrossFit gyms. By pitting workers against each other, Khufu redirected their anger. They stopped resenting the man on the throne and started trying to beat the team next door. When you're busy proving you're the best, you don't ask why you're suffering in the first place. Now let's talk about payment, because nobody works for free, not even for a god. The workers were paid in three essentials: bread, cloth, and beer, especially the beer. Ancient Egyptian beer was thick, nutritious, and mildly alcoholic. It was safe to drink, it had calories, and most importantly, it dulled the edge. A hungry population revolts. A sober population thinks. But a population that is full and slightly buzzed, that population is easy to manage. It was the original pizza party instead of a raise. Great job moving that granite slab, guys. Here's some beer. We're a family here. But food wasn't the real payment. The real payment was the afterlife package. This was the core product of Khufu's pyramid scheme. In the Old Kingdom, the theology was clear. Only the pharaoh was guaranteed eternal life. Everyone else, uncertain, terrified, unless. Unless you are close to the king, serve him, help him ascend to the stars, and maybe, just maybe, you get swept up in his eternal kingdom. This is called future pacing. Khufu sold a reward that could only be collected after death. A perfect scam, no refunds, no reviews, no angry customers coming back to warn the others. The silence of the dead is the shammer's greatest ally. So the workers invested everything: their strength, their health, their youth. And this triggered the sunk cost fallacy. Imagine dragging stones for 10 years. Your back is ruined. Your knees are gone. You can't stop now, because if you stop, you have to admit the last decade meant nothing. And the human mind would rather believe a lie than admit it wasted its life. So they kept building. Block by block, layer by layer, they drained the treasury, redirected the economy, bent an entire civilization around one man's ego. And when it was finished, it was stunning. Blinding white limestone, a gold capstone, the tallest structure on Earth for nearly 4,000 years. Then Khufu died. They sealed him inside, and that was it. The workers went home. The beer ran out. The teams faded into memory. The pyramid was robbed. The gold stolen. The casing stones stripped away. And the old kingdom? It collapsed anyway. The divine order failed, but the mountain remained. Today, we look at the pyramids with awe, and we should. They are proof of what humans can achieve. But they are also a warning about what happens when a society surrenders its critical thinking to a charismatic leader. We like to believe we're smarter now. We have smartphones, the internet, science. We wouldn't fall for a man in a funny hat asking us to build a useless monument. Would we? Look around. Look at the billionaires we worship, the gurus we trust, the corporations that call themselves families while stealing our time and sanity. We never stop building pyramids. We just change the materials. Today we build with data, attention, and hours of our lives. Khufu was the first. He wasn't the last. He proved that if you control the story, you control reality. So the next time you see the Great Pyramid, don't think about aliens. Think about the people cheering in the desert, proud to be wasting their lives, convinced they were saving the universe. And ask yourself, what pyramid are you building right now, and who's sitting at the top? If you enjoyed this descent into historical insanity, you know what to do. The algorithm is my pharaoh, and it demands sacrifices. Like the video, subscribe, and tell me in the comments which modern billionaire would absolutely build a pyramid if they could. My money's on the rocket guy. Thanks for watching. Stay skeptical.